The album we're talking about this week was actually suggested by Joel. So if anybody wants to blame him, you can just go ahead and do that right now.
Go ahead.
But we're talking about the brand new album that just came out from Weezer just a week ago now, called Van Weezer. I thought it was an interesting choice, one, because it's a brand new album from a well-established band, which is kind of nice because we don't get to do that all too often.
That's why I suggested it. Yep.
Yeah, and then I listened to it and I was like, oh boy. I don't know how I feel about and you know what? No, I do know how I feel about it, because this is how I felt about Weezer for the past few albums that they've put out, besides the cover songs that they put out. I don't know what Weezer is anymore. They have not evolved.
That's what I saw. Oh, thank you. They've been around 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years.
Yeah.
And they have not evolved as a group at all. It's so strange. You think about something that's been around that long and you would expect some sort of evolution. That was my exact take as well, BJ.
Mm-hmm.
I was just I was sitting there listening to the album and I'm like, what the hell am I listening to? They haven't, this is a band that's been around for such a long time and they haven't done a single thing to change.
Again, I'll say this. I think Weezer broke up as a band in 1997, and then Rivers Cuomo decided to start his new band called the Rivers Cuomo Band. And the Rivers Cuomo Band has put on a lot of other albums, and they've had a lot of commercial success. But Weezer only has 2 albums, and those 2 albums are as close to perfect from that time period as possible.
I agree.
Everything else that the Rivers Cuomo Band has done has been iterations on themes that can be found in both of those albums, but never capture the same energy or the same emotion or anything else.
Right.
And this album specifically is one of those albums where you're like, I'm sure they had a lot of fun recording this album. And if you're a diehard Rivers Cuomo Band fan, you're going to love this album.
They're just not doing anything of any substance at all. And I was so sorry that I had you guys listen to this album.
I was listening to it and I said, this is, I think, why new Weezer doesn't hit for me, is because those songs are not something that I can relate to.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No.
Now there's one thing about writing a song that you're trying to appeal to nostalgia and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And I think a great song like that would probably be Bruce Springsteen, Glory Days. You're talking about the glory days and everything like that.
Right.
But I just don't know. With Weezer is trying to talk about they're using this album Van Weezer as an excuse to be this is our influences. This is our heyday of 80s hair metal and everything, and moving into the grunge era and whatnot. And I mean, I guess, but also it seems super lazy to me.
Lazy is a great way to describe it, BJ, because it's all of these tropes, right? The thing that is about it is it's and I'm trying not to get too heady about this, but it's clear that Rivers Cuomo is trying to be clever, right? He's doing something clever in terms of let me tap into this sort of hair metal, but he doesn't really do it well. It's all this hair metal trope, but he never commits fully to it because he's still writing songs the way that he's always written songs.
Always. Yeah. Yep.
And you can go back and you can look at songs on both the Blue Album and Pinkerton that have more kick and have more hair metal feel to them in those 2 albums than anything else they've ever done.
Now, I was surprised when I was looking at reviews of this album, and it was mostly favorable. People were kind of enjoying it. And there were parts about this album that I did enjoy. I'm not gonna shit on the entire thing. But it was very lazy writing from a point. So I would encourage us right now, as the positive guy in the room, let's go around and say one thing that we did like about the album.
Man.
I'm going to start with Kellen.
I think the way that the guitars are produced on the End of the Game and Sheila Can Do It is actually really fun. It's a quick album, so I appreciated that it was over and done with quickly.
All right, Joel,
I thought the same
you say a nice thing now.
Oh, I kind of So funny enough, and I'm looking at the track list. I thought the same thing about All the Good Ones. It's also the shortest song on the album.
Yep, Joel. Yep.
No need to drag it out.
It's 2 minutes and 44 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.